This is Rob, and this is Jasmine. They are your ordinary Brits abroad.
Do the French call it French stick as well?
The French call it une baguette.
Who are about to embark on a trip that can be described as anything but ordinary. In the midst of a global pandemic,
coronavirus.
They're heading to the incredible country of Iceland for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to experience the land of fire and ice without the usual 2.1 million tourists that flock there every year.
It's just so cool. We're just sat here and there's literally nobody for miles and miles.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. Grab your popcorn. Make sure you're sat 2 meters away from anybody else.
We could end up stranded there.
And get ready for a bumpy ride.
How big is the drop?
This is Isolated in Iceland.
The journey began in December 2019 when we spent weeks researching and booking the trip of a lifetime to Arctic Norway, where we'd visit Tromsø, Senja, the Lofoten Island and Oslo. But all of a sudden, this happened.
Coronavirus, COVID-19, continues and will continue to spread across the world and our country.
Norway as a country is in a severe situation due to the outbreak of the coronavirus.
Well, it's totally unprecedented.
It comes from China.
The outbreak of coronavirus completely shut down our trip. Norway closed its borders and our dreams of watching the northern lights under the Arctic sky crumbled. Instead of admitting defeat, we found a place with northern lights, a place with cold wintry weather, and a place that was still letting in tourists.
Thanks to everyone who watched Bangkok to Beijing. A bit of a weird one because me and Jazz are leaving to go to the airport quite soon. Now, obviously we're pretty gutted that our Norway trip didn't happen, as you'd seen in the introduction. So we're taking a bit of a risk by trying to get to Iceland. There's a chance that we could end up stranded there. There's an absolute certainty that our travel insurance is void. But look, life is too short, the old cliche. Jazz can't get a work to rearrange a holiday at all. So if we don't go now, we're never going to go because the way it's going, I think we're going to be on lockdown pretty soon. And we bought quite a lot of winter rig. Like pretty much all my Christmas presents was like winter clothes. So we needed to find a replacement. Now Iceland's one of the only countries in the world that's currently accepting tourists. So the plan is we get to the airport, all we've got booked so far is the flight. So we don't have a hotel, we don't have any car hire, we don't have a trip at all. So we're hopefully going to get there, check in and go from there really. Right, so it looks like we're going to be heading to Iceland. It's been a bit of a mad check-in. Thought we had plenty of time, but the time just flew. Just had something from Belly of Talia. We've literally just booked the car hire and our first night's hotel on booking.com. Did that in the airport because we weren't sure whether we were able to go, but just about to board the plane now. So yeah, looks like we're heading there. I think it's safe to say the airport's a bit quiet today.
Located in the North Atlantic, Iceland is just a 3-hour flight from the UK. Tourism makes up 70% of Iceland's economy, and over 300,000 British people go there every year. So yeah, it's pretty much a ghost town in here. Car hire guy is going to come and collect us from the airport. We go collect the car and then head to the hotel. Now for a bit of context. Me and Jazz actually visited Iceland for the first time in 2017. This was the place that really got us inspired to start travelling and making travel videos. We thought it was such an incredible country, and when we got home we actually wished we'd have stayed longer and visited more places. So we were actually buzzing at this last minute opportunity for us to go back again. Our plan was simple. We were going to visit the best bits from 2017 plus the place we'd missed out. What was really going to be interesting this time was to see how badly the coronavirus had impacted the tourist hotspots. We made a plan to head for the Snaefellsnes peninsula before looping back down to visit the Golden Circle. We would then head east, stopping at 2 of Iceland's most famous waterfalls. We'd then tackle the 5.5-hour journey to Hofn. We'd then loop back on ourselves to stop at Jokulsarlon, Skaftatell and Vik, before rounding off our journey in the capital Reykjavik.
So we've just woke up and pulled the blind up and yeah, Bit of a change of scenery outside. Looks like we've had quite a lot of snow overnight. So our drive north shortly is going to be interesting.
What's the best way of clearing snow? Jesus, quite a lot. Woo! So yeah, that's the BC Dacia Duster. Last time we came to Iceland we had one, so gone for the same again. I think this is like a brand new 2019 model. So yeah, quite hard getting the snow off with the flip-flop, to be honest. But today we haven't actually said much about where we're going, so we're heading to the Snaefellsnes peninsula. I think I've said that right, I have no idea. So it's about a 2 hour 45 journey from where we were back in Reykjavik. We've got, according to maps, about an hour and 10 left to go. So if you watch Game of Thrones, you will probably have seen it. It's the real pointy sort of mountain we're going to first, and then there's a few other places around there, but that's the most famous one, probably the most photographed photo in Iceland. So Jazz wants to know some fun facts about Iceland.
Oh gosh.
So to all the viewers back home, did you know there's more than 125 volcanoes in Iceland? This one is one that Jazz found pretty impressive, right? So Iceland's population is only 360,000. So that's the same as Stoke-on-Trent, but the land area is the same as Wales and Scotland combined. So there's probably a reason why we're driving for like 20-30 minutes at a time and not seeing anyone. It's because there's nobody here. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird question why we actually came back to Iceland. Obviously we couldn't get to Norway because of the coronavirus situation. Iceland was one of the only places that was still allowing people in, and there was a few places we didn't get to last time we came here 3 years ago, so we decided to come back. We're now better at taking photos, a little bit better, and we're doing video now, so yeah. This is the most photographed mountain in the whole of Iceland, and in the summer there's normally thousands and thousands of tourists here, but today we're the only people here because we're the only people who would be stupid enough to come out in this weather with the coronavirus. So yeah, let's hope we can get a pretty good photo.
It's £24 for 2 lots of this.
We can't afford this. Right guys, day 2 in Iceland. We drove back from that little village yesterday where the blizzard completely froze our face and fingers off. Just went from like being windy to just complete blizzard to sunshine again in like 30 seconds. So the weather is just ridiculous here, crazy. So we stayed in a place last night in between basically the Golden Circle area, which is where we've driven today, and the place where we were yesterday. So the first stop of the day is a waterfall that we didn't come to last time we came to Iceland. Now we've just driven down here.
Can you feel the car moving?
I can feel the car moving. So yeah, we've driven to this waterfall, and it's on the Thingvellir National Park, just on the outskirts. So the national park is part of the Golden Circle, something you've probably heard of if you've been to Iceland. And it's a ring road around a lot of the famous sites. So you've got waterfalls, you've got the geysers, and the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. So if you did your geography, you'd probably know what that is. But yeah, we've driven to this waterfall, and the visibility is probably about 10-20 metres, but if you look at the side of the door here, it's like blowing probably 40-mile-an-hour gale with ice, hail, snow and everything else. So it's going to be a little while before we actually venture out. The weather forecast today is sketchy, to say the least. There's a weather warning out for this part of Iceland, so yeah, not particularly great. I don't think we'll be going to this waterfall, Jazz. Right, so we've just assessed the situation. We're not going down to that waterfall. It's just not safe. People will probably look at it and go, oh, you in Iceland expect the weather to be shit. Nah, this is next level shit and we ain't doing it, so on to the next place. Although, a fun fact, this waterfall actually was in Game of Thrones. Again, if there's any Game of Thrones fans and you come to Iceland, drop by this one. There's nobody here, but why would there be in this weather? So yeah, on to the next place. Let's see what happens there. Now you might be thinking, looking at this footage, whoa, the weather got really good. Well, it actually didn't. This footage is from our visit to the Skogafoss waterfall in 2017. We tried to go back this time around, but again, the weather was still atrocious. If you do end up doing a Golden Circle trip in Iceland, we'd highly recommend a stop off here before heading to the Great Geysir area, which is where we were heading next. Right guys, we had a bit of a change of plan. A couple of the waterfalls we tried to get to earlier were just a write-off. The weather was just terrible. So we've moved on to the next place, which is the Great Geysir. So the last time me and Jazz came here, there was probably a good couple hundred people here. And normally throughout the year, they can get thousands of people come. And today, it's just me and Jazz. As you can see here, there were a fair few people around the last time we visited the Great Geysir. This time we had this and almost every tourist hotspot entirely to ourselves. We really felt like the only tourists in Iceland. The Great Geysir itself is pretty bizarre. It throws boiling water up to 70 metres in the air every 5 to 10 minutes. Research shows that the geyser has been active for over 10,000 years. And it's surrounded by pools of bubbling and boiling water. So we've just got to Gulfoss, which is the final stop on the Golden Circle. Weather today's been absolutely awful, so we haven't been able to get out and see as much as we hoped, but hopefully this place makes up for it. I remember last time we come it was awesome, it was just really cold, and there was a lot of people, a lot of foreigners pushing and shoving and trying to get in the way of your photos, so I think we got a bit pissed off, but don't think we'll have that problem today. I think in the summer there's like thousands and thousands of people come here, so yeah, despite the weather, it's still nice to be here. We're self-isolating. We smell like wet dogs.
You do.
I do. So yeah, let's go and check out the waterfall. Wow, just got back to the car. That waterfall is nothing short of spectacular. Honestly, it's just so incredible. The colours of the blue mixed with the ice and the sheer drop and the sheer power is just amazing. Just a shame we couldn't spend a bit longer out there. We've been here before, so we're lucky enough to have experienced it. But wow, that rain, the rain and the snow are just unbelievable. Luckily we've got waterproof clothing on, well, to a degree, but Jesus, that is wet and cold. I've never felt weather like that before. The rain, the wind, the ice, all just completely smacking against you at like 60, 70 miles an hour. I think it's got to be getting on for like -3 or 4 out there. Horrible. But yeah, we were the only people there, which was awesome. Just got to the hotel, and it's pretty swish, to be honest. I only paid 40 quid for this room. Today was pretty much a write-off considering the weather. We wanted to do the full Golden Circle, and we only managed to stop at a couple of places, and that was just not the best. We didn't manage to get much in terms of video or stuff, so just about to have our soup for tea. We went to the supermarket earlier and got some French stick to dip in it, so looking forward to that. What are you saying?
Do the French call it French stick as well?
The French call it une baguette. So good morning, it's day 3 in Iceland, the post-coronavirus trip. Today, slight change of tack. We're going to go to Hofn, which is in the far east of Iceland, and it's about a 5-hour 30 ride from where we just stayed in Selfoss. We're going to go down there because the weather's looking a little bit better, and then backtrack on ourselves. Weather's not too bad at the minute, but like literally every second it's raining, it's snowing, or it's fine, but yeah. So we're going to take it instant on the driving. So Jazz is driving at the minute.
Okay.
So, there you go, there's Jazz. We're just approaching the Seljandenfoss waterfall, which is one of the biggest waterfalls here in Iceland. One of the most famous ones that all the tourists get to. Last time we came here, there were that many people that there were people pushing past the barriers that people aren't meant to go past. And yeah, there was a lot of angry tourists. So yeah, we're going to go and check it out. The weather's holding up at the minute, but it looks like there's a big storm coming in. So hopefully we can get a couple of cool videos and check it out. But we'll soon find out. That was a bit mental. We pulled up at the waterfall, and I thought, right, I'll just get the drone out quickly before the storm comes. The storm kicked in just as I was flying it, and it wouldn't land because the wind was too strong. So we had to drive down the road to try and land it a bit further away, which was a bit dodgy, to be honest. But that's the weather in Iceland. Like 5 minutes ago, it was absolutely fine, and now look at it. So we're going to start heading back down onto the main road. Hopefully we'll come back to this place on the way back up, but for now, you're all good, Jazz. But for now we're going to crack on because we've got quite a long journey, and as you can see, it's a full-on blizzard now, so I don't think it was worth us hanging around. Right, second stop of the day, Skogafoss waterfall, which is an absolute beast. I remember coming here before and it just started snowing and it was really epic. We've called in because the weather is looking like it's holding up just for now. I don't know how long we've got, but I might try and get the drone back out. Rainbow right behind forming, and we're the only people here. Just look at this place, man. Woohoo! That was absolutely amazing. I say absolutely so much, but that was incredible. I always keep saying throughout this video that we came here 3 years ago, and like obviously the first time you come to a place
especially somewhere like this, your mind's just blown. But to be the only people here at that time, then that was just incredible. And I think the best bit for Jazz was when I fell over. So I set the timer on my camera so it tried to get a photo of us. I'll put the photo up now. Ching. And then as I was running back to reset it, I fell down a hole and literally just decked it in slow motion. I fell that fast, even though Jazz didn't think it was. I didn't even have time to put my hands out to brace, so I just literally smashed my shoulder off the floor. Jazz was crying, but wow, so glad we stopped off. Great place.
After stopping off to see some wild reindeer, we eventually made it to Hofn, where we sat and watched Boris's lockdown announcement before heading out to try and find the Northern Lights.
So as you can see right behind me. So that's the Northern Lights, and we're literally just a few feet away from the place we're staying. So yeah, pretty lucky.
The Northern Lights that night weren't as bright as the last time we'd seen them in Iceland, but honestly, it was a privilege to be able to experience them again. We actually parked up in between a mountain range for an hour before they finally made an appearance, and we were able to take these photos. Once we got back to the guest house, I made this time-lapse video just a few feet from our bedroom. Seeing the Northern Lights in person is something everyone should do at least once in their life. It's something that I guarantee will stay with you forever.
Good morning from paradise. Well, it looks like paradise. This is the place we stayed last night. Obviously we saw the Northern Lights just out there. And yeah, we've woken up to some actually decent weather for the first time this week. And it is absolutely stunning. Despite the semi-lockdown back home, don't really know what that means for us yet. We booked a flight home with British Airways, so we'll see if that happens. But today's looking good, feeling good. We're about to head to a destination that I've always wanted to come. Our noble driver has just drove us into this beautiful sand dune area with black sand called Strokknes. And yeah, it's these lovely massive sand dunes with, I don't know, like yellow grass on them. And then in the background there's the Vestrahorn mountain, which looks pretty epic. The one problem we had is that obviously cars and sand don't tend to get on when you drive one over the other. Yeah.
Have you ever drove sand over a car?
Alright, when you drive a car over sand, it doesn't tend to go well. And that was the case. Unfortunately, our driver got us in a bit of a rut. But luckily, a guy wearing flip-flops managed to push single-handedly out of the sand. Anyway, we're going to go and try and get some photos and get the drone up. But the weather is great. It's nice to be here. And we're by the sea. Happy days.
Just had our lunch and we're now at Jokulsarlon Glacier Lagoon. This is a place we came to a few years ago and it's quite drastically changed, I guess. I think in the winter it all freezes up and there's lots of these, I guess, giant icebergs. This year there's like not many. When we were here 3 years ago, the place was absolutely full of them. I don't know if it's global warming or they've just had a milder winter, I don't know, but pretty spectacular place nonetheless. We're here on this little bay just away from the main car park and we've encountered probably 4 or 5 seals, one of which is actually right just here. What the hell? You can see one just skimming across the top of the water there, look. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's so close.
There's literally one right here. Oh my god. See its head?
Looks like Voldemort with a suntan.
So yeah, Jokulsarlon Glacier Lagoon, icebergs and seals. What more could you want? So our final stop of the day is Diamond Beach, which is just located probably 200 metres away from the Glacier Lagoon. So once the icebergs have left the Glacier Lagoon, they go down a little river. They end up washed up into the sea and then the sea blows them back onto the beach, and in the sunlight like today, supposedly they look like diamonds. So we're going to go and check it out and see what we can find. But I think today's been a cracking day so far. The weather's been perfect. Jazz reckons I've caught a suntan / sunburn. I don't know how that's possible in a place where the average temperature's like 0 degrees, but yeah, all is well. So I'm just having a walk down to the Diamond Beach now. Jazz is sitting this one out. The main reason is because it's not really that many of the icebergs washed up, to be honest. So when we came here before, there was hundreds. A lot of them were like a crystal blue colour, but the ones here right now seem to be thawing out. So I don't know if it's global warming or just don't know. It just doesn't look as impressive, but still get a couple of shots, give you an idea what it's all about. And for a bit of comparison, here's some footage of the Glacier Lagoon and Diamond Beach from our visit in 2017. You can clearly see there were a lot more icebergs around then. Good morning campers, you join us live from Skaftatell. This is one of Iceland's premier hiking destinations. Today hopefully we're going to try and get up to the glacier, Vatnajokull glacier. So yeah, we're going to go and see Europe's biggest glacier, hopefully a bit closer than we did yesterday. But the weather's on our side once again and we're ready to go on a bit of a hike. Oh, here we go. Here's the first Bear Grylls challenge. So we've come off piste and we're trying to get up to the ice, but without killing ourselves. How big is the drop?
Fucking really big.
There's one over.
Do you want me to film you? Rocky D!
To be honest, it's getting a bit precarious now. We are approaching the ice and there's crevices and drop-offs all over the shop, so I don't think we should probably try and get any closer, Jazz. But yeah, as I keep saying, there's no wind here. I think we're completely sheltered, so it's actually roasting. While everyone's at home in quarantine, me and Jazz are probably going to fall 60 feet under an ice glacier. But the 2 or 3 minutes before sunbathing will all be worth it. So we've had fun on our little block of ice sunbathing. The sun's just about gone now, so we're going to start moving back. That and Jazz seems to be having an asthma attack. She hasn't brought her inhaler, but yeah, it's just so cool. We're just sat here and there's literally nobody for miles and miles, and just a shitload of ice that's hundreds of thousands of years old. And there's a fly. What the hell? There's 2 flies, and you can just hear it cracking, and yeah, it's incredible. We are fortunate to be here, and it's been a good experience.
Somehow I've got some blonde woman's hair on me.
And Jazz has got some blonde woman's hair on her. Yeah. These are the things that Jazz just randomly comes out with. And so we began our dangerous hike back to the car before setting off to reach our accommodation for the night in the southern town of Vik. So we're about 20 minutes from Vik, and we stumbled across this place, which is a toilet in the middle of nowhere, and it's just cost Jazz £1.23 to go for a wee. So if you come into Iceland, make sure you bring your card if you need a wee in the middle of nowhere, because you'll get charged for it. Oh, £1.23 for a wee also gets you a good view. So these bits you can see here are bits of lava. We've just driven through quite a big magma field over there. So obviously at some point in the past there's been quite a big volcano erupt, and there's lava literally all over the place. On the lava there's this special type of moss that's unique to Iceland. Apparently it takes thousands of years to grow. They've told all tourists to stop standing on it because they're damaging it. A couple of years ago, Justin Bieber came here to film one of his music videos, and he's dancing on one of the lava rock things covered in moss, and yeah, he got a bit of a telling off by the government of Iceland. So there's a bit of random knowledge for you. Yeah, we'll head back now and get back to Vik. Vik is a remote seafront village in the south of Iceland. It's famous for its black sand beach, giant sea stacks and church, which sits above the entire village. Well, I think that's pretty much it for the day, unless the weather holds out. I think we'll be going back down to the black sand beach in the morning. But we've just got to our apartment. It's really nice, to be honest. We've got a table, we've got some cooking facilities. It's like a little wooden chalet just off a farm, and the views over the landscape in front are just amazing. So we're gonna have our beans and toast and look out to yonder. There's no telly in here, but we've got Wi-Fi, so we should be all good. Guten Morgen. Today we are at Reynisfjara, which is a few miles away from where we were staying last night. It's the famous black sand beach here, just in Vik. So the interesting thing here is the waves are just enormous, and there's big signs everywhere saying beware of creeper waves. Now what creeper waves are basically waves that just creep up. You don't expect them to be so big and so powerful, and they can like engulf half the beach. So a lot of tourists have been swept out to sea here with the creeper waves, so we'll try and avoid them. The main feature here at the black sand beach is obviously the black sand. There's a massive column of I don't know, weird shaped rocks, a bit like the Giant's Causeway in Ireland, so we're going to go check them out and get some cool photos. And then the final thing, which we briefly saw yesterday, are the big sea stacks that point out of the water. I think the locals refer to them as trolls. I might be making that up, but I think I've heard that. So they're pretty impressive. We are literally the only people here, and we've been saying this throughout this entire trip, but
honestly, the last time we came here, this entire beach was just full with people, full with tourists. Today, literally, I've got it to myself.
Just a short distance away from Vik, we started the hike to the abandoned American Navy plane wreck, which crashed in the 1970s. Luckily, all crew members survived, but the plane was never recovered. It sits isolated in the black sand about a 45-minute walk each way from the main ring road, and typically Iceland threw all the weather it could at us, including the mother of all hailstorms. Eventually, we had to seek shelter inside the wreck itself. After the storm passed, we made the long old walk back to the car. Our plan was to start heading back towards Reykjavik and hope the weather was good enough to stop off at the Seljandenfoss waterfall.
We've come back to Seljandenfoss, one of the main waterfalls here in southern Iceland, and we came here the other day. I got the drone up in the air and then a massive snowstorm came, so I almost lost it, but it's definitely one of the most picturesque waterfalls you'll see anywhere in the world. I think it falls for about 60 metres, so I think chucking yourself off the top would do a decent job if you wanted to kill yourself. A bit dark that. But yeah, I'm the only person here. Jazz has sat this one out. We came here a few years ago, and these little ropes here basically stop you from getting any closer. And what was happening, because there were so many tourists, people were pushing past the ropes to get a photo without anyone in it, and it was all kicking off. There was that many people here, but today it's just me once again. Yeah, so I'm pretty knackered getting up there. I'm not sure I'm going to get down, probably on my arse, but pretty good view. That doesn't seem that difficult, honestly. I've literally just skidded half the way down there. Crazy. I've got to try and get down the rest. Honestly, trying to get down there, oh man. It's like Home Alone, you know, when he freezes up the steps with the water. I am literally Hank or Marv, whichever one it is. Oh. And now I know why it was closed. That guy's got crampons, walking sticks, and he's still struggling. You know what that was? Because Jazz wasn't with me, I took risks. Normally Jazz isn't a rule breaker, so she just saw the close sign at the bottom of the steps and said, oh, nah, it's closed for a reason.
Was it closed?
Man, that top bit of the steps, I was saying it's like Home Alone where he puts the water down. It's like that. This guy here, he's got crampons, walking sticks, and did you see him going down?
No.
He was like a giraffe spread with his four legs like this.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I know, I recorded him.
We later made a stop off at the Kerrid volcano crater. Unfortunately, it was completely frozen over. In the warmer summer months, it looks a little bit like this. We then made our way back to the first hotel we stayed in Reykjavik.
Well, good morning everybody watching back home. It's our last full day here in Iceland. Our flight hopefully leaves tomorrow at 11 in the morning. So today we're going to go and explore Reykjavik. It is apparently, don't quote me, it's the world's northernmost capital city, so we're going to go and check it out. We just pulled up to the big church here in Reykjavik, and I'm squinting even though it's not that sunny.
Last time we came here we went up to the top, and it provides pretty good views around all of the surrounding areas. To be honest, we didn't stay for too long in downtown Reykjavik. It was completely deserted as most places were closed due to the coronavirus. The city is well worth a half or a full day. It has a lot of cool shops, hipster cafes, and there are plenty of great places to eat. Just brace yourself when the bill comes. If you didn't know, Iceland has been consistently in the top 3 or 4 most expensive countries in the world. We kept our budget down by bringing some pot noodles, some soups, and hitting up the supermarkets. Later that day we packed our bags ready to depart in the morning, but went for one last attempt to find the Northern Lights. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a disaster and a no-show. Just before we get onto the part where we head home, there are a few cool things we managed to do last time we were in Iceland that we highly recommend. The first one is an ice cave tour on one of the mighty glaciers. This was one of the most memorable experiences we had. We'd have loved to do it again, but there weren't any tours running due to COVID-19. The next thing we'd recommend is a walk to the secret pool. This place is located in a hidden valley and takes a 20 to 30 minute walk to find. It might look pretty grim, but it's a unique experience to bathe in the middle of nowhere. It's also really warm thanks to the geothermal water. The last obvious choice is the world famous Blue Lagoon. This hot spring is a mix of luxury and nature. We were absolutely gutted when it closed just a day after we arrived. The next day we got up, returned our car and headed to the airport. Yeah, we've checked in for the flight, and as you can see, bit of a ghost town to be honest. I'm not sure there's anything actually open. You know what, it slightly reminds me of 28 Days Later, when he just wakes up in the middle of London and there's nobody around. So our flight left and returned home to a very different country to the one we left 1 week ago. This trip was a complete risk, one we were willing to take, and yes, it could have well backfired, but on this occasion it paid off. To visit Iceland, a country struggling with over-tourism, and be the only people at each of one of the incredible waterfalls, lagoons, glaciers and beaches was really a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. We know this won't ever happen again, and we were the lucky ones. We drove for hundreds of miles without seeing another car. We spent hours at these magnificent places without seeing another person. For a week, we were isolated in one of the most beautiful countries in the world. On behalf of me and Jazz, thank you so much for watching. I really hope we can all overcome coronavirus soon and be free again to travel this spectacular planet. Please subscribe to our channel, and if you enjoyed this, you'll probably enjoy our Bangkok to Beijing series.